Hi friends, it's Ashley and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 12 YA fantasy books that are coming out this February. And as usual, we're going to be talking about these in order of release date from soonest to latest. Book number 1 comes out on February 3rd and it's Carnival Fantastico by Angela Montoya. And this one is a romantasy following our main female character Esmeralda, and she works as a fortune teller at a carnival, but she is aiming for the lead role in the big top show, because if she is successful in doing so, she'll finally earn her freedom from her former employer, the commander of the king's army. And then our love interest is Ignacio, and he has defected from the king's army. And he is looking for evidence that will prove that his father, who is the leader of the army, is corrupt. And his investigation ends up leading him to the carnival where Esmeralda works, and turns out that she is a girl that he is in love with. And so the two of them end up making a deal, and the deal is that she will help him uncover evidence that proves his father's corruption if he will help her secure the main act. Book number 2 also comes out on February 3rd and it's a practical guide to dating a demon by Hannah Reynolds. So this one follows our main female character, Naomi, who is a scholarship student at a magical academy, and she ends up claiming to be betrothed to a demon in order to avoid unwanted suitors. But then one day, said demon ends up turning up in her dorm room and says that they are indeed betrothed, and she believes he's lying, and she tries to send him back to his world, but she's unable to do so, so she's kind of just stuck with him. But it turns out that he has a knack for home decorating and baking, and so having him around isn't really so bad after all. Plus, she has bigger things to worry about, like the ancient scroll she's trying to translate, and also trying to figure out why the city's magic is suddenly going haywire. But the more she learns about the scroll and the demon, she starts to believe that everything is interconnected. And so our story goes from there. Book number 3 comes out on February 3rd and it's Until the Clock Strikes Midnight by Alechia Dow. And this one is a cozy romantic fantasy inspired by Cinderella. And the premise for this one is very unique, and so I am going to read the description on this one. So the description reads, Darlin is the most talented and unusual guardian to get a chance at winning the coveted once-in-a-generation Mortal Outcome Council mentorship. Getting the spot would mean having the opportunity to shape the future happiness of all mortal realms, if she succeeds at her first assignment, Lucy Adelsberg. Darlin thinks it'll be an easy razzle-dazzle job, until she actually meets Lucy. Her life is a complete mess, from her failing bookshop in her downtrodden village to her doomed flirtation with the Princess of Lumia. But if there's one thing Darlin's good at, it's a makeover. Calamity is the most talented and arrogant misfortune of his class. It's his job to save mortals from their own terrible decisions, made in the pursuit of the mythical happily ever after. When Calam is granted a shot at the Mortal Outcome Council mentorship, he thinks his dreams are finally coming true. But first, he must pass the test. It should be easy. Lucy Adelsberg has been unfortunate for years. All he has to do is continue her string of bad luck so she can finally come to terms with reality and settle for a safer, more logical path in life. Yet when he arrives, he finds that Lucy has a guardian assigned to her too, a chipper overachiever who is as colorful as the magic pouring from her glittery wand. To thwart each other, Darlin and Calam insert themselves into Lucy's life, posing as a betrothed couple. As they try to guide her down what they each see as the best path for her, they start questioning their roles and ultimately what they truly want for themselves, and if those feelings of loathing they have for each other might actually be something more like love. Book number 4 also comes out on February 3rd and it's Heart's Gambit by J.D. Myall. So this one is described as a thrilling and romantic debut fantasy where competitors from 2 prominent time-traveling black families must fight in a deadly magical duel and find themselves falling in love. So this one follows 2 families who have been sworn enemies for centuries. And it all started with Venus Davenport and Titus Baldwin, 2 enslaved kids who fell in love, tried to run away, and got caught by their mistress, Sabine, a powerful witch. And they were desperate for freedom, so they made a deal with her. And she gifted their families with the ability to exist outside of time, along with magic to survive and thrive, but it came with a cost. And that cost is once in a generation, their families must put forth a competitor for a magical duel to the death to feed the witch's immortality. And this time around, Emma Baldwin, a wish spinner, and Malcolm Davenport, a maker of illusions, are chosen. And so the 2 of them end up meeting each other to check out the competition, but instead they end up falling in love. And so now they're on a quest to end the witch's curse because that's the only way they can be together. Book number 5 also comes out on February 3rd, and it's Sibylline by Melissa de la Cruz. So this one follows 3 friends who have dreamed of attending Sibylline, a prestigious magical university, for as long as they can remember, but the magical university ends up rejecting them. And so in retaliation, they decide that they're going to steal their education. And so they end up getting jobs on campus. By doing so, they're able to sneak into lectures and swipe forbidden texts. And in the process of doing all this, their magic ends up awakening. And also, while doing all this, they discover that a dark magic has taken root in the academy and is killing students and corroding the institution. And it turns out that the 3 of them might be the only ones that can save the university from destruction. Book number 6 also comes out on February 3rd, and Stolen Midnights by Katherine Quinn. I'm going to read the description for this one. So it reads, "In the city of Andrea, the ruling fates bestow gifts among society's most favored. When Damien, a cold and hardened thief, is hired to steal one of those gifts meant for the princess of Ward 1, Wren Hayes, he finds himself entangled in a web of secrets. The gift, a locket containing his own photograph. Once the locket is opened, hidden truths unravel, shedding light on the ruthless ways of the upper class. Yearning for the 3 fates and the magical gifts they bestow, the lords of Andalay will go to any length to keep their power, including murder. Brought together by destiny and fighting a dangerous temptation that's becoming harder to resist, Wren and Damien navigate a seedy world where the truth can destroy not only their lives, but the city itself." Book number 7 comes out on February 10th, and it's To the Death by Andrea Tang. So this one follows 2 characters. The first is 18-year-old Samantha Chan, who only wants one thing, revenge for her brother, who was killed in an illegal magical duel. And so in order to do so, she's been quietly working with Lysander Rook, who is a legitimate duelist. And our other main character is Tasman Blackwood, and her father is the one that killed Samantha's brother. And she wants to make a name for herself in the magical dueling circuit, but her problem is that she's just stuck in her father's shadow. And then one day she receives a challenge from the undefeated Lysander and his assistant Sam. And so she immediately accepts the challenge because she sees it as a way to finally get out of her father's shadow. And she has no idea about Sam and her brother and Sam's whole plan for revenge. And Sam doesn't plan to tell her, but the 2 of them start to fall in love, but even so, Sam is determined to still carry out her revenge. Book number 8 also comes out on February 10th, and it's Call of the Dragon by Natasha Bowen. So this is the first book of a new series inspired by African mythology, and in this book, dragon gods rule the earth and the sky. That is, until they are betrayed. And as a result, the dragons end up fleeing and the world descends into darkness. And so now it's up to our main female character to go on a journey and save the world. Book number 9 also comes out on February 10th, and it's Red Star Rebels by Amie Kaufman. So the tagline on this one is so much fun. It says, 8 hours to stop an explosion, 8 hours to fall in love. And also, like, the way this description is written is just so fun, so I'm gonna read it. It's 2067, and the Graves family has transformed Mars from a lifeless rock into a chaotic path of settlements. You can buy a one-way ticket to a new life if you're rich. Enter Hunter Graves, the handsome, ambitious grandson of the man who settled Mars. With spectacularly bad timing, Hunter arrives at the United Nations base just as an emergency evacuation sends everyone scurrying for safety. Except he's left behind. Uh-oh. Also stranded, Cleo, a sharp-tongued stowaway with no intention of dying today, and even less patience for overconfident trust fund boys. But the enemy of your enemy might just help you survive, so here we are. It turns out the evacuation is just a cover for the mercenaries who come next, and the plan to blow up the base and every trace of their crime in 8 hours. Now Hunter and Cleo have one shot to stop the explosion, escape alive, and deal with the inconvenient fact that they're falling for each other. The clock is ticking. This one just sounds like so much fun. Book number 10 comes out on February 17th, and it's The Sun and the Starmaker by Rachel Griffin. And this one is described as a whimsical and sweeping romantic fantasy. This one follows Aurora, who lives in the small village of Reverie, which is beyond the reach of the sun, and so they depend on the mysterious Starmaker, who every morning he trudges across a vast glacier and pulls in sunlight over the peaks, providing the village with the light it needs to survive. And so Aurora grew up on these tales of the Starmaker, but she never believed that she would actually meet him. But on the morning of her wedding, she does. and he senses that a powerful magic is within her, and so he demands that she come study under his guidance. And so she is swept away to his ice-covered castle and learns that her newfound abilities are tied to the survival of her village. And the Starmaker himself is very cold and distant and pretty much just leaves her to explore the castle on her own. And he is also hiding some secrets that he won't tell her. But then a deadly frost approaches and she has to uncover what the Starmaker is hiding before she is left in an endless winter that even the sun cannot touch. Book number 11 comes out on February 17th, and it's Ungodly Chaos by Selma Soren. So this one is described as an action-packed contemporary fantasy for fans of Rick Riordan and Legendborn. This one follows our main female character Amira, who is having a perfectly fine, perfectly normal year. That is until her boyfriend breaks up with her on her 17th birthday. But she is never one to let things go, and after overhearing her ex argue with someone in town, she ends up following him only to fall through a portal to the underworld. And there she learns that her ex-boyfriend is actually a descendant of the Egyptian god of chaos, and that he is intent on solving a spree of murders that have been going on in the human realm. And it turns out that someone is killing the descendants of the gods, and if he's not careful, he could be next. And feeling a mystical pull to Kaiden in the underworld, Amira ends up insisting that he let her help him solve the case. And so the two of them, along with her ex-boyfriend's rival, who is a descendant of the Sun Guard, end up investigating. And along the way, they end up uncovering secrets about Amira's connection to the gods, and also that the killer might be closer than they think. Book number 12, and the final book on this list, comes out on February 24th, and it's The 12 by Joey Graceffa. And this one is described as a pulse-pounding YA fantasy where witches hunt witches, magic has a price, and sisterhood is the only thing standing between light and darkness. And in the world of this book, each month a zodiac witch is born, and her magic is written in the stars. So in this one, we're following two twin sisters born on the cusp of Pisces and Aries. And up to this point, they have been living in an orphanage, but then one day they are invited to join the 12, a powerful coven. And to join, they have to swear to hunt dark witches. And dark witches are creatures of unnatural beauty and razor-sharp teeth that survive by taking magic from young witches. And so the sisters are spirited away to a secret island where they train to learn how to use their magic. And one of them wields lightning and the other one wields water. And like how their magic is opposites, their desires are also opposites. One of them desires power and the other one resists this power. And so they end up finding themselves caught between two destinies. And they are going to have to make a decision because the darkness is coming. Alright, so those are 12 YA fantasy books coming out this February. Let me know down below which ones caught your eye. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye!